Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more. Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 19, titled How Can You Be Sure? Air date April 20th, 2004, and the synopsis is...
Lucas believed he saw more than an auction rule when Nathan kissed Peyton. Brooke and Lucas deal with the possibility of becoming teenage parents. Jake still refuses Nikki any part in Jenny's life. Nathan tells Haley he doesn't understand she won't share his bed, tattooed his jersey number on her body. After 15 years, Keith proposes to Karen, who isn't ready and decides to leave. Dan tells Lucas not to let Brooke ruin his life as Karen did by having him.
It's just so mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we start off where we were in the last episode with Lucas asking, if Brooke's sure. She just says she's late. She didn't take a test, so...
Okay. I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
Just take the test and then tell the person.
Right.
I mean, why is it every show they always tell you, think I'm pregnant. And then, have you taken the test? No. Then don't come to me unless you took a test. Like, I hate when they do that. Just take the test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, too, it could have been because she was nervous because of her first scare.
Why do they always... But it's every show that does it.
Yeah.
They always write it that way. And I hate it. Like, okay, because you know how it can be false positive or false negative, right? Or whatever. They could have done it that way. She took one test, and it said positive.
Right.
But then she goes to the doctor, and it's negative. You know what I mean? They could have wrote it that way, because then it wouldn't be like every other show. Because Dawson's Creek did the same thing. Joey played that move, remember?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, just take the test.
Right.
On Grey's Anatomy, Amelia did that. Remember, she's like, I think I'm pregnant. And it's like, just take the test. And she went around for days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, don't come to me unless you know.
Right.
Or unless you have taken the test.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll help you. Otherwise, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And again, especially if you're going to, I don't even want to say like ruin someone's life because they were a part of it. But unless you're going to come and tell somebody, that they're the father, you should really know that you're pregnant. Otherwise, you are just opening, a can of worms for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he said that he'll take her to the drugstore. And then we go back to Keith and Karen, because Keith had just asked her to marry him, and he asked the...
Did you like how this was just all, like, from the same night?
I don't know. It was kind of weird how they made it continue like that, because they usually don't.
I hate when they're just, like, standing in the doorway. It's like, and scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, so Karen, doesn't know what to say. He says that, yes, we can start.
No, you know what she said was, It seems so out of the blue.
Yeah.
What does she mean, out of the blue?
Right,
It's Keith, first of all. It's not Larry, thank God. But I'm just like, okay, I get it partially, because they haven't really dated.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they've known each other forever.
Right.
So, and she just found out that he's been in love with her, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So why would it be news?
Right.
Especially when she came back from her trip, they were supposed to start something. Yeah. So, I don't understand her head thinking, but okay.
And so he gives her the whole speech about when she left for Italy. They had a future. And then they're still the same two people who stood at the airport, and he's the man who was in love with her and still is, and Karen says she loves him too. He's her best friend, and he's been a wonderful father figure for Lucas. The time away in the distance, it gave her a new perspective on everything. And Tree Hill is such a small part of it, and maybe Tree Hill is where she belongs, but there's so much more out there. So,
do you like how she keeps saying best friend and friend, and you're just like a good guy?
Right, yeah. So I don't think...
I have a question.
Yeah.
Remember how last episode we said that, you know, we were talking about, like, the nice guys versus, like, you know, the bad boys. Well, when you get to be 30-some, like Karen, you should want the nice one.
Right.
Not the bad one. Larry, bad. Keith, good. Like, I don't understand. Like, Karen, you are not in your 20s, honey. You're definitely not a teenager. You want good. You don't want bad. You had bad. Bad was bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand this. Why? I don't understand.
Yeah, and I don't think she should have said that she loves him too, because she knows it's not the same love that he was talking about.
I know.
So I don't like how she responded with that, but...
That's the thing. She always says one thing, which is like, okay, it's like the door closed. But then she says something else, and it's like, oh, so the door's still open?
Right.
But then she's like, well, why do you think that way? And it's like, because you're a lot like Deb. You say one thing, and you mean a different thing. I don't understand these people in the show.
Right.
Like, some of the stuff they say, I'm like, I don't think you really thought that through, did you?
And then at Brooke's place, she walks out of the bathroom upset. She shows Lucas the pregnancy test. It's positive. And, you know, Lucas is frozen in fear. Brooke starts crying. And Lucas tries to comfort her, but she gets up and walks to her vanity. And Lucas tells her, you know, she's mad at him, but, you know, he's still there for her. And that he would go to the doctor's with her tomorrow. And Brooke says, you know, she'll take herself. And Lucas says that he's scared just as she is.
I'll take myself.
Right. Yeah, I didn't like how she kind of, like, was cold like that to him.
Well, the thing is, she dragged him into this by telling him.
Yeah.
When, if you wanted to do this by yourself, right? All the beginning parts of finding out and going to the doctor, you should have just done it yourself. And then when you found out and you had the ultrasound and all of that, then you can bring him along, you know, and make him aware, hey, you're the dad. But if you wanted to do all this by yourself, just do it by yourself and don't tell him. You know what I mean? Because now and plus, why wouldn't she think he would want to be involved? He was raised without a father.
Yeah, which is maybe the reason why she would think that he would...
No, it would make him... No, because he always hated that Dan abandoned him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, so he wouldn't do it to somebody else. It was like Pacey. He wasn't going to ever do it to his own child. So why would he do it? Why would Lucas do it? He wouldn't. Nathan probably would. Okay, season 1, Nathan would. But Lucas definitely wouldn't. And so why would she think that he would?
I know.
It's like, how do you tell somebody, basically, you're going to be a father, and then, but don't come to anything, and, you know, I don't want you a part of it.
Right.
So he's supposed to just sit back and watch you do whatever you feel like? You know what I mean? Like, when he wants to be there? And, you know, the thing is, what people don't understand is, it's like Lucas. You know, that person made all the choices, right? Which for his mom, it was all the right choices. But like in Brooke's case, let's say she really was pregnant. Let's say she was like, no, to be petty, she was like, no, I don't want you in this child's life, blah, blah, blah. You know, told this child all the hateful things about Lucas. Then the child finds out years later that Lucas wanted the child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's like, really, Mom? I could have had a father. You know what I mean? Like, people do this all the time. And it's like, you think by being petty to that other person, it's what? Going to make you feel better and make you the best parent? But in the end, you're ruining your child's life.
Right.
Like, this is about your child. And so I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing with this. It's like, if this was, they really had a baby, you're only ruining your baby's life, Brooke, by not including Lucas.
Right.
It's one thing if he didn't want to be a part of it. But he's a lot like Jake. He would.
Yeah.
I mean, he would raise the baby just like Jake does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why Brooke has different thinking.
Yeah, so Lucas is pleading for Brooke to trust him, and she says, yeah, because that worked so well the first time.
Eye rolls.
Mm-hmm. And then...
do you like Brooke in this?
No, like I said, she just... I don't know, yeah, there was no point in her telling him when she was just going to treat him like this about it, so...
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so Nathan's apartment, Haley is there, and she finds Nathan asleep in his room. So does she have a key, or...
She must. Or he leaves outside or something for her.
Because it's, like, really early in the morning, apparently, like before 6.
Well, because she wakes up at 6.
Yeah.
He probably wakes up at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Because she said, you missed your alarm clock. And he's like, we all don't get up at 6.
Yeah, so then we go off. We didn't set it at that time. And then when the alarm does go off, that's when she turns to turn it off and Nathan sees her tattoo.
Yep.
And then she asks if he wants her to start his shower, and he's like thrown off by the tattoo for a second, but ends up telling her yes and thanks her. So he's just speechless.
Why do people have to start showers? Like, what's the object of that?
I think, I thought that was a little
odd.
Yeah, but I think it was just giving her a reason to turn around or do something so he doesn't like have to talk to her about it. Like he can like think about it.
I mean, starting a bath is different because you have to wait for all the water.
Mm-hmm.
But starting a shower,
yeah,
what's that? All you're doing is wasting hot water.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think back then they had unlimited hot water.
Right.
That we can have now.
And then he's at his apartment.
Right. So I'm sure his hot water goes fast.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke walks out of the clinic. Lucas was waiting for her right outside the door. He asks what happened, and she tells him the nurse said that they would call her in a few hours with their results. And then she was asked about the father, and she told the nurse that the sorry girl kicked her ass to the curb, and then she just walks off. So again, she is just continuously shutting him out, even though he didn't have to take her to the clinic in the first place. Or wait for her.
He didn't take her. She had her.
Oh, yeah. Remember. And why he said he would take her when he didn't end up doing that? I don't. She probably argued with him and said, just let's take my car, but.
Because that's where Mr. Dan sees him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, Dan, he just can't help himself.
Mm-hmm.
He just has to involve himself in everyone's life.
Right.
Oh my god. And he just thinks he's like the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But did you see him just looking? I'm like, what a creep.
Yeah, so was he in the passenger seat of the car? Like he wasn't driving, it seemed like he was in the passenger seat. That's why he could look for so long.
No, I thought he was driving.
Oh, to me it looked like he was on the right side.
No, it looked like he was driving. No, on the shows, I always watch the actors on every show and movie. Because have you ever noticed if they have to talk in scenes, they're always like, and I'm always like, when are you going to look at the road? I know you're not actually driving, but shouldn't you look at the road at some point?
Right.
And then all of a sudden they look, but then they go back to talking, and I'm like, and so I think it was one of those where he's just too busy looking, and it's like, what about the road?
Mm-hmm.
It was probably one of those, but I hate when people do that. I'm like, in real life, would you sit there and have a conversation and looking at somebody and not look at the road? No.
Mm-hmm.
So you should probably do that when you're actually doing a scene too.
Yeah.
And this is for everyone.
Right. Yeah, that by that point he would have crashed or something.
Oh, and then whose fault would it have been?
Right.
Probably Lucas's.
Yeah, you'd see that.
Well, that's who he was stalking, so. And it was just really creepy. And then did you see how the camera panned to Brooke's car? And it was like, then he's like, all like, and it's like.
Yeah, like he would know what her car looks like.
Yeah, like it's Peyton or something, that
right.
His son has been hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was weird. I'm like, why are we so into Brooke's car? Mm-hmm. Like, he can't see the person that's outside with Lucas?
Right.
Isn't that an indication of who he's with? I thought that was weird because I'm like, it tells you already who he's with, and then they pan her car, and I'm like, what's the significance of this?
Right, because he knows it's not Peyton, or else he would have said that when he tells Steph later. But yeah, because he just said a girl.
Oh, because I think if it was Peyton, he would have been like, man, he goes from one Scott to, or she goes from one Scott to the next. Which, I mean, she does, but...
Yeah.
But, you know, he would have made it worse.
Right.
Like he did here.
Yeah, so at school, Nathan and Lucas are in the locker room.
Oh, my God, this scene. Oh, my God. When Nathan says, maybe you're a little slow. Because they're talking about the kiss. Oh, my God. But, like, again, Nathan's just reverting back to old Nathan.
Right.
I'm just like, in my mind, too, because we talked about it, the kiss was longer than it should have been. Why couldn't it have been an easy peck like it was for Lucas and Haley?
Right.
I mean, especially when you said you had feelings for her, and you always would.
Right.
This is why these last few episodes don't make sense.
Yeah, so Lucas closes Nathan's locker door shut when he tried opening it, so Nathan tells him he's going to kick his ass, and Lucas says he promised Haley he would give him a break. That's the only thing that's saving him right now. You know, Nathan's, saying that he kissed Peyton like he kissed Haley, and that's it. But,
Lucas should have said, I don't think so.
Yeah. So he asks Lucas what he's so tweaked about, and Lucas just says never mind and walks away.
And also, for Lucas and Haley, for their kiss, there was no feelings behind it.
Right.
Because they never dated. Where Peyton and Nathan, it could have all come right back to them as soon as they kissed.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's even more fear for that kiss.
Yeah.
So, no, Nathan, it's not like your kiss.
But do you think Lucas wanted to mention the tattoo in that moment when he said what he was so tweaked about? So he had to walk away before he said anything more?
I don't know, but Nathan's fearful of this tattoo. I mean, this is what I don't understand, too. Like, I thought Nathan would be happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I think that's what's odd, too, is, do you even like her?
Right.
Like, this is why I'm questioning it. Because, why are you so upset? Like, I get, she won't sleep with you. It's like, but I would think you would still be happy about the tattoo.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean? Whatever. Again, just say it's Michael Jordan's.
And then Nikki goes to see Jake again. And she's just saying that, just trying to get to him again. But when the doors open, we do see that Peyton is in the house in the back, soothing Jenny. So Nikki sees us, of course, and walks inside. She wants to hold Jenny. Jake says she's tired and then asks Peyton to take Jenny to his room.
I love when she goes, is that your girlfriend? Oh my God.
Yeah, so Jake just said that she's a friend and she just babysits for Jenny.
Okay. When Nikki was at the door, I was like, why are we going through this again? Like, I thought bye-bye was, it was yesterday, because, it's the next day or whatever. I'm just like, why isn't she gone? Because remember, she kind of threatened him at the very end, remember, by saying, I'm going to be in her life whether you like it or not.
Right.
And then that seemed like she was going to go get some lawyers. But then she comes back the next day and still pushes him. It's like, what do you think changed for Jake between last night and today?
Right.
Nothing. Besides, he still doesn't like you. And for Jake, he has a reason why you can't be in his daughter's life. Where have you been? So, he needs to protect his daughter.
Right.
And then when she said, oh my God, when she said that Peyton isn't her mother, either clearly are you. Because again, where have you been?
Right.
Nowhere. So yeah, I was like, really, Nikki? I don't think you have any place to talk. It's not like you're there. And it's not even like you're fighting. Again, do you have a lawyer? Are you fighting for custody? No. Not at this moment, you're not.
Right.
Because that's not what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
What's on your mind is hooking up with Jake, apparently. And guess what? That's not... And again, first thing she says, is that your girlfriend? Why is that the first question? If you want your daughter back, I don't think she does, but if you want your daughter back, why would that even be the first thing when you see him? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like, it would still be, how's my daughter? Not, oh, was that your girlfriend? It's like, go away.
Well, I can see why she would want to know the relation.
No, a good mother would. One who's in the child's life, but not one that has come back after almost a year.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's not, is she okay or anything?
I think she just wanted to be aware of the man that was holding her daughter.
I think she wanted to know who was with Jake. I don't think she cared about who was with her daughter. Because again, she never, okay, can I also say something about Jenny? She's adorable. She does not look like Nikki.
Right, yeah.
I'm sorry, but that little baby, nope. I'm wondering who the mother is. I've always wondered, Cynthia, because this baby ends up turning blonde.
Right.
And I'm like, Jake? Not blonde. Nikki? Definitely not. I'm like, where'd this child come from?
Well, we don't know what their parents look like, so maybe one of them are blonde. Who knows?
Hopefully. Because otherwise, this one was adopted.
Yeah, and then she was talking about how she'll help him pay for everything because
she has a job.
Yeah, well, and because he's been, doing it and using food stamps and everything, but...
I didn't know that she had tuition.
Right, yeah, apparently after she left school, she had it.
Okay. So are her parents rich or something?
I don't know. Don't really say too much.
And shouldn't she get a job? I'm like, and why? Okay, and the other thing is, why is she so concerned with how he's paying for things?
Right, yeah, so she has a right to say anything about that or now try to contribute.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm doing just fine without you. Well, and two, like, you don't really want her money because then she would think she has power to tell you how to raise your child, which is not something you would want, especially if you've been doing it all along. So I'd be like, I'm fine. All on my own. I have my parents' full support. I'm good. I don't need you. Go away.
Yeah, and then Nikki is looking at the photo, the photo frames. Photo frames? That's not right.
Photo frames.
What is it? Picture frame. Yeah, picture frames. She's looking at the picture frames. And she sees the one that's a really bad photoshopped photo of the Ravens basketball team.
I know. I was like...
Yeah, you can tell. And it's like...
What's up with those jerseys?
Yeah.
Like, the one Lucas was wearing, I was like...
Yeah.
That's not what he's been wearing.
Yeah, it looks like they took some basketball team and only photoshopped Jake and Lucas's faces on two of the bodies in the picture.
Nathan wasn't in it? I only saw Lucas.
I only saw Lucas and Jake because that's what she was focusing on. Because she saw Jake first and then Lucas, I believe. So I think that's the only reason why they photoshopped them, because they only had to focus on them. But
yeah, but Nathan's on the team.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying he wasn't relevant to her attention, so they just didn't show him.
See, I would put him in there and Tim just because those are the four that you know. Just in case anybody's out there that does pick at it. I'd be like, see, they're all in it.
Right.
I will say that whenever they do old photos and stuff and try to put them in picture frames and everything, I'm always like, have you ever noticed it never looks good? Like it never looks real?
Yeah. So she just says that she's looking at his life and he asks if she knows anyone who's not in it. And her.
What did you think though when she saw Mr. Lucas?
Well, she didn't really have too much of a reaction to She just, and didn't even mention him. She just saw it and, realized that.
that she did something with him?
Yeah. And then Peyton was overhearing this too from around the corner with Jenny. Which I'm surprised Peyton didn't just put her down in the room and then maybe lurk, because Jenny could have easily made any noise and she would have been caught,
I don't think Jake cared.
I don't talk about Nikki though.
I don't think Nikki cared.
Well, I thought maybe she would since she doesn't like Peyton already, but overhearing the conversation.
Nikki would have something to say with any little thing.
And then at school, Lucas catches up to Brooke. He asks if there's any news from the clinic, and Brooke says, did I find you? All attitude. And he asks where she's going, and she says away from him. He tells her she can't cut him out like this, and he's just as worried as she is. And Brooke asks if that he's just worried that he might have a kid. Having a kid might deflate his market value. Lucas says that's not it. And Brooke says that, he's right. He's not in the market anymore. He's a one-woman kind of guy, and speaking of which, how is her former best friend, she asks him. And Lucas says Payne has nothing to do with this, and she says not yet. And maybe he could pull a Dan Scott and knock her up, too.
Yeah. I was like, when she says, or the bar slut, or she goes, or you could go with the bar slut. Oh, yeah, you already did that.
Mm-hmm.
Won't that be weird if they both were pregnant?
Right. Yeah, so all this anger and jab she's making is just because of the cheating, which I get, but she did go overboard.
Mm-hmm.
I know Hillary, Sophia, and Joy thought otherwise. They thought Lucas deserved all this, but
no,
I didn't. Maybe the comments like this, but the whole line, no. After she got the phone call.
That was my thing. Was I don't care what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got that phone call, should have told him.
Yeah, he was off the hook.
And should have let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't care. You ruined that. Because how can he trust you ever again?
Yeah, she put him in a whole spiral.
With his mom.
Yeah, his mom slapped him for it, so. And it wasn't even real.
It was a good slap, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, that was my thing, was that's when Brooke for me went down. Because
mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, through the whole episode, even though she was mean to him, I was like, okay, I'm on your side. But as soon as she got that phone call,
mm-hmm.
and then she said, you're the father. And I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm sorry, but when she's sitting there, or standing there, taking jabs at who your father is, because you have no choice of who your father is,
mm-hmm.
that's not Lucas's fault. Trust me, he wishes Keith was his father, not Dan. It's like, that's not his fault.
Yeah.
And she's taking jabs at that, which, again,
mm-hmm.
he has nothing to do with Dan.
Yeah.
And so what is he supposed to do? Just stand there and go, okay, say everything you want. No, he's going to say, are you sure I'm not the father? Are you sure I'm the father? Because, and we do know her history.
Yeah.
It's not, this is the thing, is some people want to act like Brooke's so innocent. She's not innocent. She first took Lucas from Peyton, didn't care,
mm-hmm.
and then now she wants everybody to feel sorry for her. It's this isn't how it goes, honey.
Mm-hmm.
You made the first play, so guess what? That's on, I just can't stand that. It's stop it. Stop making jabs at him.
mm-hmm.
He's just right now as vulnerable as you are. And, he's worried too. Because now he has to tell his mom. So that's when he should have been what she should have said was, get in the car. She should have instead of what she did say, she should have just been you're off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just tell him?
Right.
What was the phone call? You know what I mean? Why drag it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she said it was because of what he said about how does he know it's even his? But they were just talking about how he was sleeping with Nikki. Well, they didn't know it was Nikki yet, but, sleeping with just a random girl, So they were kind of both going around. So
well, that was my thing
going
was,
for either one of them.
my thing was,
So
well, that was my thing was,
for either one of them.
but that's what I'm saying is he supposed to sit there and let her take all the jabs at him?
Right.
No, that's not fair. And so, no, of course he's going to say that because you're sitting there saying all the horrible things to him. So I'm on his side for saying what he said because he's in anger. And that's what people do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, once she got that phone call, that storyline should have been gone. And also, think too, if that was your best friend, who, Brooke. And remember, Lucas is the love of your life. And she just did this to him. How could you forgive her? Do you know what I mean?
Does Peyton know Brooke lied about him?
I'm just saying in the future.
Well, I don't know. They forgive each other eventually over
Other things.
Lucas, yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying in real life. Because I'd be like, I don't really trust you. Like, what you did to the love of my life. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Brooke doesn't realize she just is creating disaster. And she just thinks it's a game. And it's not.
And then Deb is exercising in the living room when Dan walks in.
Why does he have a key?
Well, he doesn't. Apparently he said the door was open, so...
Oh, yeah, because he said, was it open for another high school boy? I was like, what?
Another boy with his pants around his ankles.
Oh, my God, Dan.
Yeah, so he says, had she seen the apartment Nathan's? And she said, yeah, because...
He's been giving him money?
Food, yeah.
But...
Yeah, food and money.
Yeah, like she gives him money, and he goes, "Oh, great!" So he never comes home.
Yeah. Yeah. So she says, she wants him home too, but he has to, make his own mistakes. And Dan says, right, and she brings him food, and like you said, and he'll never come home. But then he tells Dad that she can tell her friend Karen her son was coming out of a family planning clinic with a date, and is that the kind of mistake that she had in mind for Nathan?
And so, once again, we're saying that Dan is saying that Lucas was a mistake. Again.
Yeah. And then Nathan and Haley run into his apartment.
Okay, and honestly, if Nathan has a baby, that child a mistake?
No.
No. It's his child. Shut up, Dan.
Right. Yeah, so they just got out of the pool. And they're back in the apartment. He asks if she's hungry, and she says, yeah, for him. And he's serious about getting food, and, eating out or eating there is fine with him. So she asks what's wrong. He says nothing. He's just hungry. And Haley says, no, she doesn't buy it. She wants him to talk to her. Nathan says he just doesn't feel like he's, feel like making out is all. And Haley is, shocked to hear this and asks if he realizes he just said that. And she then asks, since when? And then that's when he admits that he saw her tattoo. Saying how it was on her ass, and she corrects him saying that it's above her ass. And then, he says he saw it that morning, and she asks if it bothers him. He says he's just confused, and, how she do something permanent like that, but won't have sex with him. And she says you can get a tattoo removed, and sex is a big deal for her. And Nathan says he gets that. That's why he hasn't been pressuring her into it. And, she says the way he's not pressuring her right now. So, yeah, he does kind of keep bringing that up, that he keeps saying that he doesn't want to pressure her, but saying he doesn't want to pressure her is still pressuring her. So then Lucas and Brooke run into each other at school, while Brooke is walking the cheerleaders, but not Peyton for some reason.
Really?
Well, I figured they were going to practice or walking from practice. That's why I was surprised Peyton wasn't with them. Because we don't usually see Brooke hanging out with just the cheerleaders.
Well, she hates Peyton.
I know, but still.
She hates Peyton. They're not friends.
I know, but I didn't think she was friends with the cheerleaders either like that.
Well, she has to have somebody.
Well, I just figured that they'd have her walking.
I mean, you think Brooke's gonna just be alone? She's gonna find somebody.
Well, she could be. And then she tells Lucas he's busy. She's busy. And Lucas tells her not to shut him out, they can deal with it together, and Brooke says that they're not together though. That's not what he meant by together, and she knows that. And she says he dodged a bullet this time, and just pats his chest and walks with the girls. And then Peyton just happens to walk up now, walking past the girls, and she tells Lucas that Nathan told her about the fantasy kiss scenario he thought he saw. And she asks if he was high, jokingly, and then adds that the kiss didn't mean anything. She wouldn't do that to Haley. And Lucas says he guesses he overreacted because, it's the least of his worries. And he watches Brooke walk into school. Peyton notices and says she's gone. Lucas asks, why she assumes that he's looking for her. And Peyton says because he is. And she asks if she's still freezing him out. He says yeah. And, she's freezing out Peyton too still. And she asks if he wants to talk about it, and he says no. He just thinks he's screwed up things enough as it is, but it's worse now. And Payne acts worse than the death wish best friend love triangle thing. And she asks if he told her she was like fat or something, And he just shakes his head, and Payne says that, Brooke's pissed at her, but she's still her friend, and he asks what's going on, and he just says, what were they thinking about getting involved in everything? Him, her, Brooke. And then he just walks away.
I don't care for that interaction. It's kind of boring.
I just thought that maybe he would open up to Payne about what was going on.
Yeah, but I think Brooke needs to be the one to say what's going on.
Yeah. It seems like she doesn't want to include anybody. Let anybody help her.
Well, especially after that phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's going to be rumored.
Mm-hmm. And then later on at Payne's house, Payne is drawing while Haley is there painting her toes. So
yeah, now they're new. They're oh my god, they are the new besties.
Mm-hmm. And then Haley asks Payne if Nathan ever cheated on her, and Payne says, where'd that come from? And Haley says she wonders if maybe he's going to start looking somewhere else for what he's not getting from her. Because she's being all open and honest with Payne about her feelings and how when she's making out with him, she just hits a wall. And she thought she would wait until she fell in love and got married. Then she met Nathan and everything got confusing. And it was never something she had to deal with right away. It was always in the future. And then she says that she doesn't know if she's ready. And Payne says, or maybe she's just not sure if Nathan's the right guy. And Haley says that she can safely rule that out. And that she just can't breathe when she's around him. And when she's not around him, she wants to be. She's just in love with him. So then Payne tells her that she's gone further with him than she ever did. So, if it wasn't Payne and she's going to tell us to, it usually probably would have been Lucas. But at the same time, it couldn't have been Lucas because it's his brother after all, so we'd have,
I don't think they sit there and go, hey, bro, what's up?
Right.
I mean, not yet.
Mm-hmm. And then,
no, I mean, she probably still could have. Lucas would just have to, calm down.
Right.
Before the conversation. Because everything, whenever she talks about Nathan, it's always overreacted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lucas isn't listening.
Though, she might have gone to Karen.
Right, yeah.
That would have been her best bet.
Mm-hmm.
The safest one.
Right. And then Lucas is with Skills, but he's not listening to him. Or Whitey. And, about overdoing it. Because he's in the weight room right now. When he still shouldn't be doing that with his shoulder, but then Dan walks in.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, how is it Dan just walks in? I mean, really? Like the scariest person just walks in the weight room with weights.
Right.
When he could throw it at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why does Dan have to just get involved?
Right.
Oh my God. And of course he brings up what he saw.
Mm-hmm.
And how it was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And how basically he was a mistake. Because, he tried. Him and Karen talked about it. And, that he wanted her to have an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
What? I am so happy, though, that Karen said no.
Mm-hmm.
And that he doesn't want Lucas to make the same mistake that Karen did.
Right.
How do you tell the person that's living?
Right. Yeah, I'm just surprised that he brought this up now and not sooner, you know?
Like episode 1?
Yeah, it's like it was only for the purpose of this episode, but yeah.
Well, because he's trying to say, look, you know, you can't always be mad at me, you know. You're now me, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they had to make it now. But Lucas is still not you, because he's not sitting here saying, Brooke, have an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Dan did that.
Yeah, because Dan was the one that said that Lucas was that huge boulder on his arm that was, you know, keeping him down from living his life. So. And then, you know, he says that Karen was too emotional. She was thinking clearly. She would have done what he said. And, you know, he tells Lucas that he's got a lot of life to live and, you know, don't let this girl make the same mistake that his mother did.
But I mean, he keeps calling her like this girl, that girl. Like, it's really annoying because he knows who it is.
Yeah.
It's not like she's just a random. It's not like it's Nikki.
Yeah.
So it's really annoying because he knows Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
And and the other thing is, given that her parents have money, don't you think he would hang around them? You would think he would, just because I feel like, you know, the rich people probably do.
Yeah.
So especially in a small town,
mm-hmm.
you probably want to stick together.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't understand this. He knows who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I just don't like it.
Right. And then he even told Lucas that he'll be paying for it for the rest of his life until he dies. So, you know, basically,
a little dramatic, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's telling Lucas that's basically what he's doing to him. So, and then Deb invites Keith over for breakfast, and Keith tells her, "Did I say Deb?
I don't know."
Okay, yeah. Well, Deb, invited Keith over for breakfast. So,
did she invite him or did he invite himself?
Well, she said that she's glad that he came over. So, I'm guessing that meant that she invited him. But it is kind of random because as far as we know, they didn't really talk like this, you know?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say they did for the 6 weeks that Karen was in.
Right. But then it just seemed like things went back to normal, like before.
Yeah, but when he went to that cafe the one day, he only directed himself to Deb and ignored Karen.
Yeah, I think because he just like wanted to see Karen, but didn't.
But I think he's happy that Deb is divorcing Dan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's like she's thought clearly now after all these years. I can actually talk to her. She's actually on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, Deb wanted those two together. So I think, you know, that's his one friend besides Whitey. I think Keith should have some other friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Keith tells, you know, Deb that he asked Karen to marry him.
Carrie?
Yeah,
Who's that?
I put Carrie in here for some reason.
Who's that?
In my notes. Yeah, she said no. And he says that he always pictured proposing to her for the last 15 years and saying yes, but he never pictured her saying no.
Well, yeah, because he said, you know, when people propose,
mm-hmm.
they don't really think the person's going to say no.
Right.
You know, I think that's the thing is, you know, like when people get like really nervous to propose.
Yeah.
It's like, you probably, if you're that nervous that they might say no,
mm-hmm.
you probably shouldn't be proposing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like if you think for a second that somebody's gonna say no,
mm-hmm.
you probably shouldn't propose.
Right.
Like you need to, and also too, you know, people that are like, this is the rest of my life. It's like if you're that scared of that person being in your life for the rest of your life, that it's probably a no. Like you shouldn't be asking because you should be happy to propose. It shouldn't be like a terrifying thing that they're going to say no or this is like the end of your life sort of thing because it's a happy moment.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like, should Keith have done it? No, because they didn't even date.
Right.
But, I mean, I get it was, for probably coming because it was the season finale. They always have to wrap up the season. But I'm just like, in reality, though, like, people that are, when they get freaked out, I'm just like, you should probably think why you're freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably answer those questions before you propose. Because I don't think you should be that freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
If you really love that person and they truly love you back, and the other thing is, too, you should, if you've already talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't just be Keith out of the blue. Will you marry me? And it's like, they never talked about marriage. Like,
right.
Of course she's going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
And given how Karen's kind of wishy-washy,
mm-hmm.
and her feelings are here, she likes this one, that one. Tomorrow she'll like someone new. Given how she's that kind of person right now, the answer, of course, is going to be no.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing, too, the reason why she's not ready is because she hasn't dated.
Right.
Since Lucas has been born. So it's like she doesn't know who she is outside of being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So she needs to find herself, too, and then find who she likes and what she likes. Because, all she's had is you and Lucas, and she didn't have you romantically. So it's like she needs to figure that out before she puts a ring on her finger.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's sort of just going, like, he's trying to get up the hill by, like, jumping it.
Right.
Instead of climbing the hill. It's like, you don't just, ask somebody to marry him without actually going through the steps of getting there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then...
It's kind of like how Nathan feels right now with Haley's tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Keith did wait 15 years, so I don't know why he was surprised too, because, like, you can't just want to propose for someone and then wait so many years to do it. Yeah.
But again, without dating.
Yeah.
And you had one kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the airport. It was a goodbye, basically, because she was leaving. I mean, it was their first kiss. And it was their only kiss. And then he thinks that because of that he's gonna... I'm so confused.
Yeah.
And I'm so confused, too, because you know how he'd been carrying the ring in his pocket? So he was really going to propose at the airport when he picked her up. Right. She would have said no then, even if it was all... even if you had balloons and everything, and even if Lucas was there and healthy and happy, and she still would have said no, because again, you didn't even date.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she was away for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. She learned a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That what she likes. So it's like she was starting to become her own person. So it's like things changed for her. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would think that things would just go back to... I don't know why he's thinking marriage all the... Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Go through the steps at least.
Yeah. And then Deb tells him that he's still an important part of her life. That won't change. She needs him, and Keith says maybe she needs him, but she doesn't want him.
Oh my God. Oh, Keith.
And then he just doesn't know if Karen told Lucas about it yet either.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Lucas has his own drama.
Mm-hmm. And then, Lucas would have saw Nathan right away after hearing that she turned him down. And then Dan goes to see Nathan at his apartment. He comments about
what? Okay, Dan is just like on a visiting everyone train.
Mm-hmm.
Because he stops to see Lucas and Deb and now Nathan. It's like he's just going through his little circle of all the people to go and, try to control and manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, though. When he said, what did you think, though, when Dan said, he said, I had to run a credit check to get your address.
Right, yeah, because Deb won't give it to him.
But he had to run a credit check.
Mm-hmm. So I guess...
Oh my God.
What?
No, I'm just thrown off at Dan.
Yeah, so I guess that means that Nathan does have credit cards, and maybe that's how he's been paying for his apartment.
How?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that's how he probably...
In order to have a credit card, you have to have money.
Mm-hmm.
And also, too, when Dan told... This is what I'm so confused about, is how did a judge, Cynthia, allow Nathan I'm trying to figure this out. How a judge allowed Nathan, who does not have a job, to emancipate himself from his family when he doesn't have a job and he clearly knows nothing about money. And because Dan even says, well, you're going to have to get a job. Like, because he said, playing house costs money. And then Nathan's like, yeah, I guess I'll have to get a job. And I'm like, how did you get emancipated? Because I feel like that's like the first thing the judge would ask is, how long have you been working? Where are you working? Is it part-time, full-time? How much are you making? They're going to ask all of these serious questions because they want to make sure you can afford to live on your own.
Yeah, we talked about this last time too.
Yeah, so I'm just so confused at why he actually got through to a judge. Like, what judge? Unless he paid the judge. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm thinking. Because it's just really weird to me.
Yeah, and when Nathan says he'll get a job, Dan, of course, is worried what that's going to do to his game because he's not going to be practicing as much. And then Dan says he'll give him a week in the real world.
And then he'll come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah, and then Nathan said the best part about having his own place is he can ask him to leave.
I like that part.
Mm-hmm. And then Dan says that he'll be at the beach house for him when he hits rock bottom. And then at school, Payne is on her phone when Nikki walks up, and Nikki asks Payne who she's calling, Jake maybe. And she sits next to her and tells her, she knows she babysits Jenny, but she's back now, so Jake and her won't be needing her anymore. And if there's anything going on between her and Jake, she's not going to be permanent in her daughter's life. So if she were her, she wouldn't get too attached.
If she's a part of Jake's life, she's a part of Jenny's life. Sorry, Nikki.
Yeah. And Payne says if she were her, she would walk away. And Nikki says all the babysitting in the world isn't going to make her Jenny's mom. And Payne says all the I learned in the world won't make her anything other than a psycho stalker bitch, and then walks away. And Payne walks over to Brooke, who asks Payne if, who's that girl, a friend of hers. Payne says no, she's Jake's ex, and all of a sudden she's trying to deal with her issues and thinks she's one of them. And then Payne says to Brooke, so she's talking to her now, and Brooke says, yeah, because stuff's going on, and she doesn't know what to do. She can't even say it out loud. So Payne asks if this is about Lucas, because he was upset yesterday. And by Brooke's reaction, it did seem like that. It seemed like that Payne was going to tell Brooke that she knew about her being pregnant, or might be being pregnant. Because Lucas told her. Like, she was, bracing herself.
No, I didn't see it.
Because she, the way her head, flipped, it just seemed like she was shocked that she brought up Lucas. Yeah, so, Brooke says that she thought they weren't together, and Payne starts to explain, but Brooke says to forget it, and she's the last person she should be talking to anyway. So then Lucas does end up telling Jake about the situation with Brooke, even though he didn't want to tell anybody. But he does feel better after he did, and Jake says he does too. He did too.
So that was my thing. Was Jake happy once he told Lucas? Because that took how many months? Because he was keeping a secret for a very long time.
6, 7,
something like that. Yeah, but he was keeping a secret for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this baby isn't even born yet. So what's he talking about? He waited a long time. But then, how did you like when he said that, basically, he was a mistake?
He was telling Jake that Lucas was his own self a mistake?
Yeah. Well, basically, he wouldn't be here if his mom would have listened to Dan. Well, because Jake said that they thought about it too, not keeping her. But it's it's hard to hear, but it's you have to remember too, all these people are teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's, of course, your first thought. But then it's once they really think about it, just be happy that they chose differently. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's hard to be the child, but at the same time, they were children. So,
right.
I don't think Lucas really thinks that through, does he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jake just tells him that if Brooke does have the kid, life is going to change. But, he's asking Lucas what's Brooke want to do, and he says he doesn't know because she's not talking to him. And then he asks Jake what, does he want her to do? And Lucas says he doesn't know how to answer that because he's just a zombie right now and he just wants what's best for her. And then Jake asks, does he think she's going to have it? Or she thinks she's going to have it. But Lucas just said that she wasn't talking to him, so...
You don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know, he asks kind of the same question again. But then Jake had said that him and Nikki talked about not keeping the baby either.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. I'm just surprised that... I think it's because Lucas wasn't shocked that he didn't think about it. Kept the same name. About, how it was the same name of the girl that he was with, too.
He doesn't know.
No, I know. I'm just saying that I thought maybe he'd think, that might be a coincidence or not, but...
He doesn't know that Nikki is Jake's.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, because Jake said me and Nikki, so I'm just surprised Lucas didn't think about it for a second.
But I'm sure Nikki's a kind of a popular name.
Mm. Well, I've never known Nikki. Have you?
I'm just saying that it's not... I don't think he really... He's too into what's going on in his own life. I don't think he's really thinking.
Yeah, so Lucas says that he thinks they're not ready to be parents yet and he can't even take care of himself.
That's true.
Plus, there's college for both of them, and he says his mom is going to freak out. But does he even know if Brooke wants to go to college?
No, because he doesn't know anything about Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
Because Brooke doesn't say anything.
Yeah. And then Nathan is at his apartment making a for sale sign for the car that Dan gave him when Haley walks in. He says he's selling it to pay for the apartment.
What did you think when she said I can be your sugar mama?
I mean, I guess she was trying to make light of it all, but I don't think he wanted to hear that.
No.
Because, she, hugs him and everything, and he doesn't return her affection, so she asks what's wrong.
He's like, don't touch me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he brings up sex again and says he's trying to respect it. So Haley's like, that means we can't kiss now? And he says no, he's just trying to make her comfortable. And she apologizes to him and says it's not fair to him. And Nathan says no, it's not fair to her. Tells her not to apologize and gets up from the couch and walks away. So, here now in this scene, Nathan did show a lot of maturity here with telling Haley that it's not fair to her because him keep, saying that that he's okay with it and respects her choice to wait. It's just like kind of like a backhanded compliment. Like it's not really respectful. It just adds pressure in somewhat of a lighter way, And because it's just really not fair for either one of them. And if they keep having different choices about having sex or not having sex, then at this point that they should break up and find people that are on their same level of intimacy.
Well, that's the only thing Nathan wants at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, he clearly would have done it last episode with Peyton.
Right. So Lucas can't sleep and goes into the kitchen, probably for water, and sees Karen too. And she says sometimes she can't sleep from being too worried, and Lucas asks, what she's worried about.
What did you think, though, when he told her?
Yeah, well, he told her to sit down, and she was for a second, but then decides not to.
I was like, Lucas, don't. Mm-hmm. I'm just kidding. But this is what I mean. This is what I don't like, because he then involves Brooke didn't involve her parents, and yet he's now having to sit his mother down and tell her. Oh, and the other thing is, too, okay, so Brooke, lied, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say the truth when the doctor called.
Yeah.
If you were Karen and that was your son, I wouldn't like Brooke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Moving forward, it's like, if I was Karen, how could I trust or like Brooke ever again? I wouldn't. I'd be like, son, remember, she's no good. Mm-hmm. It's very hard because this is a serious situation and, yes, they both got themselves into it, but it's like Karen is obviously going to protect Lucas and side with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, if that was your kid, you would too. So it's like, how does Karen move forward with Brooke? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I don't think Brooke really realized any of this.
Yeah. So after Lucas told her Karen's immediate response was to slap him, and then she realizes it was wrong and tells him she's sorry.
I'm sorry. The slap? So good.
Yeah, so he says he deserves it and goes into his room, and Karen follows him, and she tells him she didn't mean it, and Lucas says he's sure that she did. And she says no, but he needs to understand that, she didn't want this for him, and, how she's been just talking to herself for the last few years, and he has so much to do in his life. How Dan mentioned the same thing.
This is what I didn't like.
And so does Brooke.
Because Karen was, this is what I don't like about when people have kids young, and then they kind of, in a way, blame the fact that they were a teen parent when they did something to cause themselves to be a teen parent, first of all. But it's like, they blame the kid as if, do better because, I had you. And it's like,
yeah, kind of like...
Then give me up. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I hate when people do that. I didn't go to college because I had you.
Right, that's how Lorelai was with Rory, too.
I hate it. People do it all the time, and it drives me crazy because the kids do not deserve that. If that's the way you're going to act, give the child up because they don't deserve you as a parent saying that to them.
Yeah.
Lucas here, he's going through something. He's opening up to you, which teen boys do not do. Telling most teenage boys would hide and run.
Yeah.
He's not. He's coming to you before this child's born, before she even had an ultrasound. And you're going to sit there and go, what have I been telling you last, a few years? What? What have you been saying? That he's a mistake? That you regret having him? I mean, that's what it's sounding like.
Well, it sounded like to me that she was like telling him to be careful on how to have safe sex and stuff.
Okay, but it's also sounding like, don't do what I did and have you. Like, that's how it's coming off. And I don't like it because it's like, basically, she's sounding a lot like Dan. As in, you're here. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, she comes back by saying, basically, I wanted you. But, which made up for her whole rant. But again, I just hate when people say that. I mean, even if they're 20 years old and they have a kid, they're, I wasted, I didn't get to party in my 20s. Well, whose fault is that?
Yeah.
It's not the child's fault. Like, people need to stop blaming their children for their choices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If anything, go blame your parents who weren't around when you were having sex. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the thing. Why don't people blame their parents instead of blaming the child?
Right.
Because who's watching you at 16? Your parents are supposed to. So go blame them.
Yeah. So she says, that she wanted him in her future. That's why she had him. Said, not to listen to Dan.
Well, I think she needed Lucas because clearly she doesn't have family. So Lucas was the only choice.
Right. And then Karen asks, what does Brooke want? And he says he doesn't know. Karen says she must be scared and asks Lucas. And, Lucas says, what are they going to do? But then it's the next day at the cafe. And Haley is giving Lucas his food. He says he's not hungry. And Haley says, more for her and just starts eating it. And then she says she has to ask him a personal question out of curiosity. And it ends up being, how many times per minute do you guys think about sex? Because, from the magazine.
And then he's like, and he goes, oh man, you're thinking about having sex.
Right. Because apparently Elle magazine said like every 30 seconds. So of course, Lucas is, this is Nathan, putting Haley, putting that idea into her head. Pushing her.
Though.
Which she kind of is, yeah.
He has this whole episode been putting it in her head.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't saying it last episode. All she said was she thinks she's in love with him.
Right.
That's it. There was no talk about it. So the fact that all of a sudden this episode, that's all that she's thinking now, well, of course it is, because that's all he's been saying.
Right. Yeah, so he says for what it's worth, he wishes he would have waited. And just tells her to look past the moment. If she's not ready, then just wait.
See, this is where he should have said what's happening with him, because then she would have been like, yep, I don't want to be a teen mom. All right, I'm not having sex.
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan is at Deb's going through things, and Deb walks into the living room, and she says that his father stopped by. He wanted his address, but she wouldn't give it to him, and Nathan says he found him anyway. And then,
illegally.
Yeah. And then Deb says that he can come home anytime, and he knows that. And he says that's why he doesn't come home, want to come home. She says that she walks around this empty house and it doesn't seem real. She wishes she could go back and do things differently. And then Nathan says he needs to ask her a question, like, why did she cheat on his dad? And Deb says she was confused. They were married so young, and suddenly she was a wife and a mother before she was her own person. And then they grew up and grew apart. Nathan asks how they, could have done that, and she says she wishes she knew. But none of that makes, what she did right. And Nathan asks because she was married, and she says because she had a commitment to Dan and to him. Those moments of what she mistook for happiness wasn't worth the cost of praying someone she loved and losing it and over it now. And then Lucas gets home to find Nikki sitting on a chair outside his bedroom door. Yeah. So what I want to know is, because how does she know where he lives?
Stalker.
Yeah, and how would she even know that was like his door right there on the side?
I know, because you would think it'd be Karen's.
Mm-hmm.
And she probably stalks him.
Yeah.
Since she's been creeping on Jake. She's probably been creeping on Lucas ever since she saw the picture.
Mm-hmm. Like Eve and Dawson.
Yep.
And, I'm surprised that Karen didn't realize someone was sitting out there. I mean, she's probably quiet enough, but...
Karen's at the cafe all day.
I just thought now that's late at night, she'd be at the house by now.
Maybe she's doing inventory. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the end of the month. She has to do inventory.
Yeah, so, Nikki just says she found out Lucas was on Jake's basketball team.
Yeah, and then it was funny because Lucas goes, "Oh, you know Jake?" Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she knows Jake.
Well. Mm-hmm. And then she admits Jenny's her daughter, and Lucas says, Jake is a good friend. He had no idea.
That's when Lucas is basically like, right, time for you to go, because, you're the mother of his child.
Yeah.
But, I take mother when it comes to her very lightly. I mean, right now, Peyton seems more of the mother.
Yeah, so of course she didn't know either, and that's why she's there to tell him not to say anything to Jake. But she's trying to get her family back together, and it's not going well.
Of course it's not. You haven't been around. I don't like her.
And then she remembers what Lucas told her about about his dad. And she doesn't want Jenny to ever, say the same thing about her. And she still has a chance to correct this mistake, and she tells him again to not say anything. So, I guess there was a purpose of them meeting, so I guess...
Yeah, so they can find out they know Jake.
Yeah, and I guess that Lucas could help her, get her priorities straight about Jenny and being there for her, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think her priorities are ever in line.
And then Lucas visits Keith at his house. And, is this the first time somebody went to his house? I think so. We've seen him in his house, but this is the first time someone visited him there.
I don't know. I just find it weird that, they haven't really been around each other.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have ruined their relationship.
Yeah.
Especially because they acted like it wasn't gonna.
Right, because...
and now they're just so distant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Keith even said he called him a few times, but Lucas never answered or, called him back, so... That's Lucas's end right there, but he says he's just been dealing with some stuff, and
then when he said, I might not be in your life a lot anymore, and I'm just like, hinting that he's going away. It's just kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lucas asks what's going on, and
okay, Cynthia, isn't it weird that so you're not going to marry Karen. So you're going to just run away now?
Right.
It's just weird.
Oh, but Lucas did ask Keith, why did he stand by his mom after, she got pregnant and Dan left, and Keith says it was the right thing to do and he loved her. he wanted to protect her, but she didn't need it. She could have been anything in this life. Lucas says, yeah, but, if it wasn't for him, and he tells Lucas he's the best thing that ever happened to his mom. So now this is the part where Lucas, wants to apologize now for the way he acted while his mom was away in Italy with Brooke and all. And he says water under the bridge. No damage done, but...
There's damage.
Yeah, Lucas almost died. That was the damage. And he tells him he's proud of him and he'll always be there for him. And, so he doesn't tell him he's, has an interview lined up somewhere else or anything, or is even thinking about moving somewhere. And then, Haley and Nathan are out somewhere, but Haley tells Nathan she knows she's driving him crazy. And
aren't they, on a park bench or...
Yeah, it was, on the corner of a street somewhere.
Yeah.
First time we've seen the characters out like that,
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't at the cafe. It's like school, cafe, or where their house is. It's never anywhere else. And then, she asks if he thinks she's a tease, and he says, just stop it. And she asks, what does he think? And he says he thinks that she's his girlfriend, and he likes to spend time with her, and he doesn't want to push her. She says he's not, but he says he is, and she got a tattoo, and it freaks him out because the relationship means a lot to her, and he just doesn't want to do anything to pressure her or drive her away, even though he can't help it sometimes. And just like he can't help that he fell in love with her.
It was weird.
Oh, I thought that was a sweet moment.
No, it was, but we're coming off of this whole episode about him pressuring her, and the last episode, he didn't even know if he really liked her.
Right.
I'm like, how do you go from... And it was... In the last episode, it hasn't even been a week. It's only been a couple days. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, a couple days ago, you told Peyton, don't know if it's really working out. And, and then now I am falling in love with you. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Right.
I think it's a little too soon.
Yeah, so it was just...
I think that's what I mean, is if there was actually a week or a couple weeks in between that episode, that it would have made more sense.
Right. But it was the big I love you scene with Haley and Nathan.
Yes,
but
it was.
Not what we, got with Brooke and Lucas.
Yeah, no, theirs was a little... a weird one where we didn't even really notice they said I love you.
Right, yeah, which is just one of the reasons that made me believe that Brooke and Lucas wasn't a serious relationship or endgame,
Mm-hmm.
And then,
because this is one of the standout Naley moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, Nathan says it scares him, and Haley keeps him and says she loves him too. And then Lucas goes to see Dan at the dealership now.
Oh, and by the way, I hope she does love him because she has a tattoo of his number.
Right. Yeah, he wanted to tell Dan thank you for filling in some of the blanks for him about how he felt when his mom got pregnant. And
I'm glad to be of help.
Yeah, and he says, how was the situation with Brooke? Lucas says it's none of his business, and Dan asks, isn't that why you came to see him? And Lucas says before this happened to him, he never understood how he could be so selfish. Dan says, so now you see his side of things, and not to be quick to judge. It's easy to have the answers from a distance, but everybody makes decisions they regret. Him, his mom, Keith, but they learn to live with it. It's part of life. Lucas says not his life, not yet. Dan says he thought that once, and then he grew up. And then Karen had invited Keith to cafe.
So, isn't it weird that Lucas went to go see Dan?
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, you hate him. Why are you going to see him?
Right. And then he still doesn't even know the truth, but I just thought maybe he would say, I'm going to do what you didn't do and be there for Brooke if she has a baby, but he didn't really say any of that to her.
Right. I think that would have been more, it made more sense of, this is why I'm coming to see you, is to, say crap to you. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he didn't, and I was just like, there was really no point of it.
Right. So Karen invited Keith to the cafe so they could talk. He told her he's going to make a change.
Okay, so when he said to her that Tree Hill doesn't feel like home, mm-hmm. and that he never pictured himself living here all his life, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
He seems the type of guy that would stay in town the rest of his life.
Right.
That he doesn't want to travel. Dan seems like the traveling person, mm-hmm. not Keith.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? This makes no sense to me that Keith would want to go anywhere besides Tree Hill where where it just seems like that's where he wants to be. I don't know. Doesn't it seem like he's always living in the past, that's where he wants to be?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that his character all of a sudden wants to just go away. All because he got rejected.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
Right.
Like, grow up.
Yeah. He said he just needed someone to remind him of that, and she did, and that's okay. Karen asks if he's leaving. He says, there's no time like the present, right? And Karen asks if this is because of her, but he just said it was. I don't know why she asked the question.
They've asked a few questions they shouldn't have.
Because he says it's not. It's because of him. She did him a favor by going to Italy and by saying...
No, it is because of her. He's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's leaving because he lost his business. He lost her. Like, all of this stuff. But again, it's all on him. It fell on him. Yeah. But also because, like, just grow up and man up and just stay in town. Especially because where are you going to go?
Right.
And also, he has no money, right?
Yeah.
Where is he going?
Yeah. No.
Is he going to live with Royal and whatever his mother's name is? That we never see again?
Mm-hmm.
Who was his mom's name?
I think May, maybe.
May.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's going to go live with them. Because he has no money.
Yeah.
I didn't see Karen repay him all the money yet.
Right. Yeah, he says he doesn't know where to go either, but it feels good to have options.
And I didn't see his house for sale.
Right.
It's really weird.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke is at home in her...
Can I just say something about Brooke's house?
Yeah.
When Lucas walks in, her bed is right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a very small room for someone that is rich.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Peyton's room, how big it is? I just imagined it'd be like that. I didn't imagine Brooke having a very... I think Haley has a bigger room than Brooke.
Yeah.
And Haley has a normal house.
Mm-hmm.
And Brooke's supposed to have, like, this big house. And I'm like, it doesn't look like it. It looks like a very small room.
Yeah.
Unless she got the closet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lucas is, vulnerable with Brooke and says that his dad didn't want him. And
he went through a journey.
Mm-hmm.
She went through nothing.
Right.
All she did was make drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not that he just didn't want to claim him. He didn't want him to be born. Lucas says he always thought that when he started a family, he'd be older and settled.
So what did Lucas think this whole time? That Dan wanted him? I mean, he's always basically said he never wished he was alive.
Yeah.
So what is he coming up with this now, saying he never wanted, like, he wished I was never born? He's always wished that.
Well, no, it just seemed like he just didn't want anything to do with him, not just didn't want him to even have
No, I think there was a comment before, I feel like we've talked about it, where it's like he definitely made it sound like he wished Lucas was never born.
I think the accent, how they were talking about, like, Lucas accused him of only saving him because he wanted to, like, look good or something, like, and if it wasn't that, then he would have never helped him or something like that.
I don't know, but I just feel like it's been brought up before, and so I don't know why Lucas is thinking differently.
Yeah, so he'd be settled and he'd be in Brooke ends his sentence with in love, and he says, yeah, so did his mom. And he's scared about this, but whatever she decides to do, he'll be there, and if she's not ready, then she's not ready.
See, it went over her head that he said that he brought his mother into this.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you have been like, you told your mother? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you have freaked out knowing you hadn't told him the truth yet?
Yeah.
And he had already told his mother? I would.
Yeah, well, I think he just meant, like, his mom also thought that she would be in love and settled too when she was going to have him. Not that he told her anything.
What did you think when she said, I'm not pregnant?
Well, I do like how he said that if she's not ready, but if she is ready to have the baby, then so is he, and whatever it takes for him to be a good father, he'll always be there for her. He promises he won't let her down. So I did like how, with hearing these words, Brooke was touched, but also this is when she feels guilty about lying to him now, but, like, at least she knows that he would have been serious about this, and now she has, like, a reason to feel bad, like, even more about lying to him about it. So, like, she confesses, and, of course, Lucas is confused because it's all tests, and that's understandable. But Brooke explains the doctor told her that, and that it can happen. And Lucas is still in disbelief because it's like, I was right there when he called, so Brooke says that He
didn't hear what the doctor said.
Right, but he just thinks that was enough proof. But yeah, Brooke points out that he had just
and even if it was your mother on the phone, you can act like it's anybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A stranger calls you and go, "Hi, doctor."
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless you heard the doctor, you don't even know who she was talking to.
Right. Yeah, so he asks, how could she do that? And she comes back with, how could you share her with her best friend?
Yeah, it always comes back to that.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas uses the line of, I never meant to hurt you, and Rick says it doesn't matter because it hurts in the end. All the same.
Okay, if you didn't mean to hurt her, then why did you cheat? You should have broke up with her.
Yeah.
As soon as you got home from the hospital.
Mm-hmm. And then this was the real big plot twist for me when I first saw this episode, because at the dealership, Dan opens a card that says, "What is a father?" on the front. It ends up being a Father's Day card from Nathan from when he was little, but then he takes out an envelope that has clippings about Lucas when he was little, including an article from when he was doing football as a kid. There's also a school photo, a baby photo, and a football post photo. So this whole time, Dan had been keeping tabs on Lucas after he just told Lucas in the same episode that he born. Yeah, so I'm like, why did they even do that? Like, does he care about the kid or not? It's like confusing at this point. You know?
I thought, I was like, that's a blonde kid. That's Lucas.
Yeah.
In these pictures, I was like, this is what I never understood. Because Dan is supposed to, like, hate Lucas so much.
Mm-hmm.
But he likes him.
Yeah.
Like, it throws me off, too. Because I'm like, why do you have all these pictures then if you hate him so much?
Do you think maybe it's...
Where did he get these pictures from?
Well, I get the newspaper article, right?
No, the one looked like a yearbook photo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What was he doing, buying it from the school?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, the news article makes sense why he would have that, but yeah, the photos don't make sense.
Because, like, because you do get them when you buy them, the school pictures. Yeah. But you would have to give them out.
Right.
And the school isn't going to give it out.
Right.
So, and Karen hasn't given it to you.
Yeah, it's not like he could order them for himself.
And Royal doesn't, no, because Royal would have his own hidden, because nobody knows that he knows Lucas, or that he knows Karen and all. So, I just feel like, you see, the thing is, like, Royal's keeping his little tabs on Lucas and Karen. Dan's keeping his tabs on Lucas. It's like, I'm starting to wonder who the favorite child of this is. Mm-hmm. It's becoming Lucas without ever realizing it's Lucas.
Yeah. Do you think that with Dan not claiming Lucas for all these years, so now he can't really admit that he does care for Lucas and he's just trying to make it as a cover-up? That's the only thing I can think of.
I think he hates himself so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, deep down. I mean, because what kind of person is that? Mm-hmm. If someone who hates themselves so much, what they've done, that they can only keep going and make destruction. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's all it is. Because, like, he clearly hates himself.
Yeah.
And he just feels the need to wreck everyone's lives because of it. And instead of just owning the fact that, he regrets what he did. Mm-hmm. Like, just own it. You made a mistake. You actually wish Lucas was in your life.
Right.
It's that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Because think about it. If somebody if you hated somebody so much, you wouldn't give them a time of day. Mm-hmm. So it's just weird.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't keep pictures of them. I still just want to know where he got those school pictures from.
And the baby photo too, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Keith gave it to him. I can't imagine.
Yeah, because
but maybe growing up, Keith was like, here's the picture of your son that you...
Yeah, abandoned.
Abandoned.
Yeah, I can...
Maybe.
Yeah, that one would make sense, but the rest of it wouldn't, yeah.
And I mean, because a newspaper, you can buy a newspaper. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just all the personal ones, I don't know where he got this from. That's what I'm, like, really confused about. Because I'm like, unless your name is somewhere, that you can get this information, I don't see how you can get that. Unless, again, somebody gave it to you, but nobody in that circle is giving you pictures of Lucas.
Right. And then Jake and Peyton were watching TV on his couch with Peyton holding Jenny. But Jake passed out, so she puts a pillow under his head. And then Nikki was looking inside from the window.
Creepy stalker. Mm-hmm. Why is she looking in the window?
Right, and she's pretty well in front of it, too.
Where Peyton could look up and see some creepy girl named Nikki.
Yeah, she's not even, trying to hide.
No.
And then elsewhere, Keith is walking around and gets to the pawn shop with the ring he proposed to Karen with and goes inside. And then back at her house, Brooke is crying in a fetal position with a pillow against her chest. And then at his house, Lucas is at the kitchen table when Karen walks in. He tells her Brooke's not pregnant, it was just a scare. But he didn't say that she lied. And then Karen asks if he's okay. He shakes his head no, not really. And Lucas stands up to hug his mom and he thanks her for everything.
Yeah, for saving his life and keeping him here. Oh, God. So for me, my high, oh, God. Was there a high of this episode?
I guess just the moment with, because it's like the only thing with Haley and Nathan saying I love you for the first time. That could be a
weird moment, but yes.
Yeah,
I mean, weird timing.
Yeah,
I like it, but for the whole episode, right. I don't know if it really should have been in this episode. Maybe the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that one, because the rest of it, I don't know. The low was, to me, the low was Brooke lying. Because once she found out, that should have been enough.
Right.
What about you?
Yeah, the same for me. And then rating?
I rate this a 7. Did you notice it was only, once the credits and everything and previously on and all of that, it was like 39 minutes.
Oh, no, I didn't.
It was definitely like a filler. And then who's your best and worst? Because I'm like...
Well, my rating 7.5, but yeah, my best and worst. My best was Peyton, just because she was trying to be there for Lucas and Brooke, even though they weren't telling her anything, and then she's still watching Jenny for Jake. And then the worst is Brooke for lying after she found the truth out that she wasn't pregnant to Lucas, and like dragging him along with this, even though he didn't have to. And she doesn't even know what trouble she put him through at the end either. So
I like those answers. I'm going with those two.
Yeah.
Because Brooke, she just went too far. Especially, he was telling people.
Yeah, he told Karen,
Jake.
Not Haley or Peyton, though. I was kind of surprised he didn't tell Haley, but...
Well, especially when she was going on about sex.
Yeah.
And then
or, he didn't tell Keith either.
Right.
Or White. He could have told
a lot of
people. Yeah.
Knowing Lucas, he could have told a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he would have.
Yeah, so she's lucky that he didn't tell her more, because I'm pretty sure...
Oh my God, could you imagine Tim getting that information?
Oh yeah, he would have been telling everybody.
The whole school, the whole town would know.
Yeah, and like, if Lucas had told, anybody else, I feel like eventually one of the people would have went over to Brooke and, talked to her about it.
Oh, it would have been around school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, so the next episode would be episode 20, What Is and What Should Never Be. We're almost close to the end of the season already.
Yes, we are.
Which is really crazy, because it's like a full...
It moved fast.
Yeah, it's a full
22.
Yeah, season. And Dawson's Creek only had 13. Yeah, and
13 very long episodes.
It seemed to go by a lot slower than these. So
there was no drama. It's hard. It's hard to watch when there's no drama. It's easy when there's a whole lot of drama going on.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.